30 minutes from Miami, sits the Bahamas. Here lie 700 little islands dotted with bankers from old aristocratic families with wildly interesting backgrounds. People here understand the offshore world, and they've seen everything. Do you need a trust? Do you want to buy a bank? Do you need to invest your nest egg? Or do you want to figure out the best way to pass on that $13.5 million to the kiddos? Well, the professional crowd in the Bahamas is filled with wealth planning experts, structuring geniuses, and tax optimization whiz kids that are standing by to help you. For a price, of course. In this video, we are taking a look at banking in the Bahamas, how you can open a bank account here, and the steps you should follow to choose the right bank from the beginning. But before we dive in, make sure as always to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get alerted every time we post new account opening opportunities. Here at GlobalBanks, we help individuals and businesses unlock the benefits of international banking by helping them find and open accounts with the best banks around the world. And today, we're talking about opening bank accounts in the Bahamas. You come to the Bahamas for banking, wealth management, trusts, and corporate structuring, and you stay for the beaches and zero taxes. Also, anyone can become a tax resident by investing up to $500,000 US in Bahamian real estate. Bahamian history and the long list of famous residents is the stuff movies are made of. The last 60 years read like an action thriller or a John Grisham novel with a bit of Jason Bourne and The Godfather mixed in. In the 1960s, Al Capone's money guy popped in, befriended corrupt politicians, and turned the British colony into a mafia cleaning machine. It was the golden age of Caribbean-infused American organized crime. Then the Swiss banks started rolling in around the 1970s. UBS was first. By 2018, there was 30. By the 1980s, the Bahamas morphed into a quasi-libertarian male fantasy novel. There was sex, drugs, planes, free market banking, and no rules. It became a bank secrecy hub and tax haven for money from North and South America. But then something happened. The Bahamas cleaned up the banking system, adopted strict banking rules, and started getting serious about compliance. And now, the Bahamas is less known for banking and wealth management and more commonly referred to as that place where the Kardashians swam with the pigs. In other words, now the Bahamas is relatively squeaky clean. Compared to other offshore financial centers that suffered massive reputational damage over the past decade, examples of Belize, Panama, etc., the Bahamas didn't. It came out relatively unscathed and neutral. Now, let's look at why anyone would want to open an account in the Bahamas. Banks in the Bahamas may be better and safer than your home country. Staff at Bahamian banks tend to be more reliable and competent as well. It's a friendly jurisdiction for non-resident individual accounts at a price. Remote account opening options exist for certain people from certain backgrounds. Foreign and offshore companies can find account opening options here. And finally, if you want wealth management or trust services, the Bahamas can probably help. Now that we know why some people open accounts in the Bahamas, let's talk about the benefits. Because there are some serious benefits to opening a bank account here. The Bahamas has a well-capitalized banking sector, and the Bahamas has the fourth largest offshore financial sector in the world, behind only Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Cayman Islands. Sure, there are some risks with that. The financial sector is 21 times the country's GDP, which can be a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it. Being a large offshore financial center, the Bahamas has a lot to lose if they don't follow the rules. If they don't adapt to increasing regulations and compliance standards, they risk being frozen out of the global financial system and losing their correspondent bank relationships. This would devastate the local economy. Banks here realize that the tides are changing. Secrecy is dead and transparency is the only option. So they seem to be complying and doing everything that international authorities are telling them to do. Still, some banks are riskier than others, you need to do your homework before opening an account. That means taking a look at the bank's balance sheet, assessing whether their financials are stable. Let's take a look at who should open a bank account in the Bahamas. The Bahamas is like Switzerland light. There's a huge focus on private banking, wealth management, trust services, and legacy planning. And there are still lots of Swiss banks here. In fact, some of the largest banks in the world have branches here, so it wouldn't surprise us if the Bahamas are already on your radar. But non-residents and entrepreneurs, take note. Transactional banking is possible in the Bahamas too, if, of course, you know which banks will accept you and who to talk to. Plus, it's an interesting option for non-residents, offshore companies, and entrepreneurs with international businesses. In fact, one of the only things that scares banks in the Bahamas tends to be Americans. Sorry, guys. The Bahamas is also a good choice if you desperately need remote account opening, cannot travel elsewhere, have a decent amount of money to deposit, and can handle the fees. If you're a GlobalBanks insider and you're interested in opening accounts in the Bahamas, check out the database or contact our team to learn more. While banking in the Bahamas might seem like a great option for you, it's important to be aware of the challenges of account opening here. Opening a bank account in the Bahamas can be overwhelming and expensive if you don't know which banks to target and don't know what you're doing. There are a lot of banks here and they all have different requirements. Some banks in the Bahamas accept non-residents and foreign companies. Some don't. Others may only accept local residents. Alternatively, certain banks may require you to invest a certain amount of money or buy a trust or corporate entity from them in order to become a client. Before you can apply, you need to figure out which banks will actually accept you and have the services you want. And while that might not sound so bad, it can be a massive headache and a lot of research. Information can be hard to find. The banks don't always respond to people who aren't customers, and the process can be very tedious and time-consuming. Just acquiring, authenticating, and mailing certain types of documents can cost over $1,000. I'm sure at this point you might be a little overwhelmed about the challenges of account opening in the Bahamas, and that's exactly why we discuss account opening topics like this in GlobalBanks Insider. If you have just a little guidance, you can save thousands, breeze through the application process, avoid pitfalls, and access much better banks than you otherwise could on your own. So, if you want to open a bank account in the Bahamas and need help figuring out what to do next, get started by using the information I've shared today in this video. But if you want to know which banks will accept you, the best account opening strategies to use, how to avoid high fees, and even get direct introductions to world-class bankers, you should check out GlobalBanks Insider. With GlobalBanks Insider, you'll get instant access to our entire archive of banking intelligence reports. The GlobalBanks database with more than 250 banks from 50 plus countries to choose from, and real-time analyst support to answer your most pressing banking questions. So, if you need help sorting out your banking options in the Bahamas, or just aren't sure where to turn, we can help. And of course, be sure to click subscribe and gain more insights into the banking world by checking out our other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.